It's the kind of story that keeps you awake at night, wondering how people can turn so dark. In July 2020, a tragedy unfolded that would leave a mother and a stepfather exposed for a gruesome secret. Bernadette B. Walker, a bright and talented 17-year-old girl, vanished without a trace. But what made B's disappearance stand out wasn't just the crime, it was the perpetrators. The very people who should have loved her mother, Sarah, and her stepfather, Scott Walker, were the ones behind her horrifying death. He was subjected to years of unbearable abuse at the hands of Scott, both emotional and physical. This was no mere neglect, it was calculated cruelty that pushed B into a corner, leaving her with nowhere to turn. But here's the kicker: her own mother, Sarah, played an equally sinister role. She wasn't just a passive bystander. She actively participated in trying to cover up B's brutal murder. But that's not where the nightmare ends. In the moments after B's death, Scott and Sarah weren't remorseful. They were playing a dangerous game of deceit. They sent out fake messages from B's phone, making it appear that she was alive and well, as if she had simply run away. The world waited for answers, but what they didn't know was that every lie would come back to haunt the perpetrators. Every attempt to bury the truth would eventually be exposed. Why didn't Sarah stop the abuse? What were they hiding? And, most importantly, where is B's body? Welcome to Legends and Lessons. Today, we delve into a story of betrayal, lies, and tragedy. Stay tuned as we uncover what happened to 17-year-old B. Walker and why this case still haunts many today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to hear more heartbreaking, true crime stories just like this. B. Walker was the kind of person who lit up the room, a photographer with a love for capturing moments. Her personality was vibrant and full of life. To the outside world, she appeared like any other young adult, trying to navigate the complexities of growing up. But behind closed doors, B was anything but safe. Her stepfather, Scott, had turned their home into a house of terror. B endured torment that most of us could never imagine. Scott wasn't just abusive, was calculating. He installed hidden cameras all over the house, watching every move she made. There was no escape. And as if that wasn't chilling enough, Scott had a sick obsession with control over B, going so far as to leave a disgusting comment on B's social media, right under her relationship status. "Any boy who kisses you better have the image of me in your head," he wrote, attached with an eerie black and white photo of himself. It's an image you can't forget once you've seen it, a reminder of how twisted Scott really was. But the real shock came when Sarah, B's own mother, was revealed to be complicit in the cover-up. After B's death, Sarah helped orchestrate a series of fake texts sent from B's phone. The texts pretended B was alive and still in contact with friends and family. The texts were designed to make it look like B had simply walked away from our life, never to be seen again. Sarah's actions were not the actions of a concerned mother. It became evident that, rather than protecting her daughter, she was more concerned about protecting her own twisted relationship with Scott. B's family and friends became suspicious when the text seemed completely out of character. B's brother, Anthony, stood up, speaking out about the abuse he had suffered and the twisted relationship between B and Scott. Slowly, the web of lies began to unravel. Detectives pieced together an overwhelming case with the help of B's friends, her brother, and the mounting evidence. But even as Scott and Sarah's lies piled up, one huge element of the story remained. Where was B's body? Without B's body, the case had become a complicated puzzle. It seemed like the investigators were destined to hit a dead end. But Scott's lies and the sickening realization of how much he was willing to do to control B proved crucial. The hidden cameras, the disgusting behavior, the manipulative cover-up, these pieces formed a damning portrait of a man who didn't just abuse B, he killed her in cold blood. Despite the lack of a body, Scott was arrested in 2020. His trial started in 2021 with the heart-wrenching testimony from B's friends and family, including her brother. The jury heard stories of the relentless emotional abuse B had been forced to endure, along with statements detailing how Scott had tracked her every move. The evidence piled up, the online posts, the fake messages, the hidden cameras. Still, Scott denied everything. He stuck to his claim that B had just run away when he was asked about what happened the day she disappeared. But no one was buying his story anymore. A guilty verdict came down fast. Scott Walker was sentenced to life in prison. Despite not knowing exactly where B was, the court knew that he had robbed her of her future and forced her family to live in turmoil. Sarah Walker wasn't let off the hook. She may not have been directly responsible for B's death, but her willingness to cover it up revealed just how deeply involved she had become. She was convicted of perverting the course of justice. She was sentenced to 6 years behind bars. Now, let's talk about the unending agony of the family. Nearly 3 years after the tragic death of B, her body has still not been found. While police, using drones and searching various locations, have been unable to locate her remains, Anthony, B's brother, still searches for answers, refusing to give up on finding his sister. "We need closure," he said in interviews. "We just need to know where she is." But Scott, who passed away in December 2023, took with him the location of B's body. His death sealed any hope the family had of ever bringing her home. While police, now led by Detective Justine Jenkins, maintain that they may never truly know the full truth of what happened that day. But one thing remains certain: Scott, with his desire to control and dominate, continued to manipulate even in death. His refusal to tell the authorities where he disposed of B's body is likely the final cruel act of defiance, denying her grieving family even the smallest semblance of closure. B's story is a painful reminder of the dangers of neglecting warning signs of abuse. No one knows exactly why Sarah chose to be complicit in Scott's scheme, but for B's sake, we have to reflect. How far do we let someone suffer before we act? Don't wait too long. Don't let anyone slip through the cracks. If you, or someone you know, are suffering from abuse or need help, remember, there are people who care, and there's help available. Don't hesitate. Reach out. Thank you for joining us for today's story. Legends and Lessons tells these true stories for a reason, to make sure we never forget the victims. He deserves justice, even if it doesn't come in the way we expected. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that bring dark truths to the light. Stay strong and stay safe.